Welcome everyone to a very special journey. Today we are going to deeply explore and thoughtfully talk about something that absolutely every single person in the entire world is actively searching for: a truly happy life. Many people in our modern society falsely think that true happiness naturally comes from acquiring money, achieving massive success, gaining worldly fame, or collecting grand achievements. They hold on to the deep belief that one beautiful day, when they finally have absolutely everything they could ever want, they will finally feel genuinely happy inside. But let us think about this logically for a moment. If true happiness only came from financial success, then absolutely every rich person in the world would be perfectly peaceful. If lasting happiness only came from collecting big achievements, then absolutely every successful person would constantly feel completely fulfilled in their heart. But as we look around the world, we all know that this assumption is absolutely not always true. This is simply because true happiness is absolutely not something that magically appears suddenly one day. Instead, genuine happiness is something that is carefully and beautifully built slowly over time through the exact way you think, the unique way you choose to see life, and the intentional way you live every single day. A truly happy life is absolutely not a flawless, perfect life. It is definitely not a life completely without normal problems, difficult struggles, or unexpected challenges. Rather, a beautifully happy life is simply a life where your mind is incredibly calm, your heart is deeply grateful, and your inner thoughts are not constantly fighting a bitter war against yourself. Tragically, many people spend their entire lives endlessly chasing happiness far outside of themselves. They desperately chase it in material possessions and seeking constant approval from others, in endless social comparisons, and in constant, heavy worries about the unknown future. But the beautiful truth is that real happiness is actually much simpler than most people ever think. It directly comes from the daily habits you patiently build, the positive mindset you actively develop, and the gentle way you treat yourself and others. In this relaxing video, we will thoughtfully talk about 14 incredibly powerful lessons that can completely change the entire way you see your precious life. These specific lessons are wonderfully simple, but they are also deeply and profoundly powerful. If you truly take the time to deeply understand them and slowly apply them in your own daily life, you will beautifully begin to notice something truly amazing. Your busy mind will slowly become much lighter. Your ordinary days will instantly feel much more meaningful, and lasting happiness will completely stop feeling exactly like something incredibly far away. Instead, it will beautifully become something you actively experience directly in your very own daily life. So, please sit back, listen very carefully, think deeply about each and every lesson, and clearly see exactly how these profound ideas can completely transform the way you live. And remember, while you peacefully listen to this video, you are also beautifully improving your English naturally. If you truly enjoy learning English through deeply meaningful ideas exactly like this, please make sure to subscribe and warmly join us for many more videos. Let us begin with Lesson 1: Practice self-acceptance. One of the absolute biggest reasons that people constantly feel deeply unhappy in life is simply because they are constantly fighting a quiet war against themselves. They constantly compare their own life with others. They harshly criticize their own mistakes. They feel deeply ashamed of their personal weaknesses. They falsely believe deep down that they are simply not good enough. This constant, heavy inner criticism slowly and quietly destroys all the peace inside the mind. The truth is, you absolutely cannot build a beautiful, happy life while you are constantly rejecting exactly who you are. True self-acceptance absolutely does not mean you simply stop trying to improve yourself. It definitely does not mean you stop naturally growing or learning new things. Self-acceptance simply means you finally stop bitterly hating yourself while you are going through the natural process of growing. Every single human being on earth has unique strengths and real weaknesses. Every human being has made difficult mistakes. Every human being has quiet moments they deeply regret. But you must remember that those difficult things do absolutely not define your entire beautiful life. Many people falsely believe that true happiness will only come when they finally become absolutely perfect. But flawless perfection simply does not exist in this world. Real, lasting happiness actually begins the exact moment you proudly say to yourself, I am not perfect, but I am still worthy of respect, growth, and happiness. When you actively practice this deep self-acceptance, something incredibly powerful happens inside you. Your busy mind beautifully becomes so much calmer. Instead of aggressively fighting yourself every single day, you actually begin gently supporting yourself. Instead of cruelly punishing yourself for past mistakes, you actively begin learning from them. Instead of endlessly comparing yourself with others, you beautifully begin focusing entirely on your own unique journey. And when your own mind completely stops being your worst enemy, your daily life suddenly becomes much lighter. This is because the one person you will spend the absolute most time with in your entire life is simply yourself. If your deep relationship with yourself is constantly full of harsh criticism, your life naturally becomes incredibly heavy and exhausting. But if your precious relationship with yourself beautifully becomes highly supportive and deeply patient, your life naturally becomes incredibly peaceful. That is exactly why profound self-acceptance is the absolute foundation of a truly happy life. When you finally accept yourself, you beautifully give yourself the ultimate permission to gently grow completely without constant, heavy pressure. And that is exactly where true, lasting peace truly begins. Let us move beautifully to lesson 2. Live firmly and peacefully in the present moment. Another major reason that people constantly struggle to feel happy is simply because their busy mind is almost never actually in the present moment. Their anxious thoughts are constantly traveling far away to somewhere else entirely. They endlessly worry about the unknown future, and they deeply regret the unchangeable past. They painfully replay old mistakes again and again in their head, and they constantly imagine terrible problems that have absolutely not even happened yet. And while their mind is so incredibly busy worrying about yesterday and tomorrow, they completely miss the absolute only moment that actually exists in reality, the present. The profound truth is very simple but incredibly powerful. Your beautiful life is absolutely not happening yesterday, and your life is definitely not happening tomorrow. Your life is happening exactly right now, in this very second. But tragically, many people never truly experience their own beautiful life simply because their wandering mind is always somewhere else. When you finally learn to live much more in the present moment, something truly amazing happens. Small, everyday moments suddenly become incredibly meaningful. Simple, quiet experiences become deeply enjoyable. A normal conversation with a good friend suddenly feels so much deeper. A quiet walk outside feels wonderfully peaceful, and a completely quiet moment becomes deeply calming instead of feeling boring. Living actively in the present absolutely does not mean irresponsibly ignoring the future. It simply means you finally stop letting the unknown future completely control your inner peace today. It means you firmly stop carrying the heavy, exhausting weight of the past into every brand new day. When your mind beautifully becomes present, your attention becomes so much stronger and you begin noticing wonderful things you absolutely never noticed before. You gently begin appreciating tiny moments you once completely ignored. You begin feeling profoundly grateful for the life you already have. And slowly, happiness completely stops being something you desperately chase in the future. Instead, it beautifully becomes something you actively experience directly in the present moment. Because the absolute happiest people in the world are definitely not those who have flawless, perfect lives. They are simply those who have truly learned exactly how to be fully present in the beautiful life they already have. Now, let us deeply explore lesson 3. Completely stop comparing your precious life with others. Today, many people blindly wake up in the morning, immediately pick up their glowing phone, quickly open social media, and instantly start comparing their own real life with someone else's carefully curated life. They see someone happily traveling the world. They see someone proudly buying a brand new expensive car, or they see someone suddenly becoming incredibly successful. They see someone looking significantly happier, much richer, or far more successful, and suddenly their very own life starts feeling incredibly small and inadequate. Their own hard-earned achievements start feeling much less important, and their personal progress starts feeling painfully slow. But there is something incredibly important that you absolutely must understand. You are absolutely not seeing the full, honest story of anyone's life. You are merely seeing only the shiny highlight reel. You are absolutely not seeing their hidden struggles, their deep fears, their painful failures, or the very real problems they secretly deal with every single day. Constant comparison creates a completely false picture inside your mind. It cruelly makes you believe that absolutely everyone else is far ahead of you and that your own life is simply not good enough. But human life is absolutely not a competitive race. Every single person has a completely different, unique path to walk. Some people beautifully start earlier, some people beautifully start later. Some people naturally grow very quickly, and some people beautifully grow much more slowly. But that absolutely does not mean that one specific life is ever more valuable than another. The profound truth is incredibly simple. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you completely stop appreciating your very own beautiful journey. You completely stop seeing your own personal progress, and you stop recognizing the wonderful small victories you actually achieve every single day. Imagine physically climbing a massive, beautiful mountain. If you carelessly spend the entire difficult climb only looking at other people's progress instead of carefully watching your own steps, you will absolutely never feel proud of exactly how far you have already come. But when you finally focus entirely on your own path, something beautiful happens. You begin actively noticing your own growth. You begin proudly celebrating your own sincere effort, and you begin deeply appreciating exactly how much stronger you have finally become compared to exactly who you were yesterday. Your absolute only real competition in this entire life should be the exact person you were yesterday. Are you actively learning more? Are you continuously growing? Are you slowly becoming much wiser? Are you beautifully becoming much kinder? If the honest answer is yes, then you are absolutely moving in the perfect, right direction. Because true happiness absolutely does not come from being better than other people. Happiness beautifully comes from becoming a much better, brighter version of yourself. When you finally stop comparing and bravely start focusing entirely on your own personal growth, your mind instantly becomes much lighter. You deeply feel more peaceful, you feel significantly more motivated, and suddenly, life completely becomes something you happily experience with deep gratitude instead of bitter jealousy. That is exactly why one of the absolute most powerful decisions you can ever make for your own personal happiness is this: completely stop comparing your precious life with others. Entirely focus on your own beautiful journey, and deeply trust that your unique path is unfolding exactly as it perfectly should. Let us now deeply explore Lesson 4. Be grateful for what you have. Gratitude is absolutely one of the simplest habits in the world, but it is also one of the most powerful. Many people falsely believe happiness will come when they finally get everything they want. They endlessly wait for the day when they earn more money, when they buy a bigger house, when they achieve their dreams, and when life becomes easier. But there is a massive, hidden problem with this specific way of thinking. If you only allow yourself to actually feel grateful when everything becomes perfect, you will tragically spend most of your life waiting for happiness. This is simply because life will always have challenges. There will always be something you are still working toward. There will absolutely always be goals you have not reached yet. But true, lasting happiness does not come only from achieving more. It also beautifully comes from deeply appreciating what you already have right now in this exact moment. Think carefully about the incredibly simple things that already safely exist in your life right now. Your health, your family, your friends, the amazing ability to learn, the wonderful ability to grow, and the precious ability to simply wake up and start a new day. These wonderful things may seem incredibly ordinary to you on the surface, but for many unfortunate people in the world, they are incredibly precious. When you intentionally practice daily gratitude, your mental focus beautifully changes. Instead of constantly noticing exactly what is missing in your life, you beautifully begin noticing what is already present. Instead of bitterly thinking about everything you do not have, you begin deeply appreciating everything you already have. And that one simple, quiet mental shift completely changes the way your mind feels. Gratitude gently brings profound peace to the heart. It brings a soothing calm to the exhausted mind. It powerfully reminds you that human life is not only about chasing the next goal. Life is also beautifully about appreciating the daily journey itself. You can actively practice profound gratitude in very simple, highly effective ways. At the quiet end of each and every day, simply take a peaceful moment and honestly ask yourself, what are 3 things I am grateful for today? Maybe it was a deeply meaningful conversation with a good friend. Maybe it was a very small, quiet achievement that nobody else saw. Or maybe it was simply a quiet, peaceful moment where you genuinely felt completely calm inside. When you actively train your powerful mind to constantly notice these beautiful moments, your physical brain slowly becomes much more naturally positive. You beautifully begin seeing radiant beauty in the exact places where you once saw only stressful problems. You begin deeply appreciating ordinary moments that once felt completely boring or ordinary, and suddenly, true happiness completely stops feeling incredibly distant. It beautifully becomes something you consistently experience much more often in your ordinary daily life, because a truly grateful heart effortlessly sees immense richness even in simple things. And when your open heart is completely full of deep gratitude, your entire life begins to feel much more incredibly meaningful. This brings us perfectly to Lesson 5. Don't hate others and absolutely protect your inner peace. Tragically, many people silently carry dark anger and heavy hate inside their fragile hearts for many long years. They constantly feel intensely angry about something someone carelessly said, something cruel someone did, or a painful event that happened far in the distant past. At very first, holding on to that dark hate may actually feel quite powerful. It may falsely feel exactly like you are bravely protecting yourself or strongly standing up for your own hurt feelings. But the absolute truth is very different from that illusion. Hate absolutely does not punish the other person who hurt you. Instead, hate slowly and quietly destroys your own peace. When you consistently carry toxic hate inside your mind, you are actively carrying immense, heavy stress. Your daily thoughts become incredibly heavy. Your daily emotions become constantly tense and tight. Your exhausted mind continuously keeps painfully replaying the exact same traumatic memories again and again. Imagine physically carrying a massive heavy stone deep inside your pocket every single day. At very first, you might not notice the extra weight very much, but over a long period of time, it absolutely becomes completely exhausting. Carrying bitter hate beautifully works in the exact same destructive way. It completely drains your precious daily energy. It entirely steals your mental focus. It completely steals your beautiful inner peace. A truly happy, joyful life is absolutely not ever possible when your heavy heart is completely full of dark anger toward other people. Now, please, clearly understand that this absolutely does not mean you should ever quietly allow toxic people to treat you badly. It certainly does not mean you should passively accept gross disrespect from anyone. You can and absolutely should set incredibly strong, healthy boundaries. You can confidently walk far away from highly negative people. You can fiercely protect yourself from harm. But the beautiful truth is that you absolutely do not need to endlessly carry toxic hate to successfully do those things. You can completely let go of the heavy hate and still firmly choose to keep a safe, healthy distance. You can gracefully forgive someone in your heart without ever inviting them back into your daily life. True forgiveness is absolutely not always about benefiting the other person who wronged you. Often, genuine forgiveness is entirely about finally freeing your very own trapped heart, because exactly when you bravely release that toxic hate, you instantly release a massive, crushing emotional burden from your shoulders. Your busy mind immediately becomes much calmer. Your heavy heart instantly becomes significantly lighter. Your personal energy beautifully becomes much stronger. And suddenly, you miraculously have so much more empty space inside yourself for vastly better emotions, for pure kindness, for profound peace, and for genuine joy. Life beautifully becomes incredibly much easier when you simply stop carrying around a heavy emotional weight that absolutely does not even belong to you. That is exactly why fiercely protecting your own inner peace is one of the absolute most powerful decisions you can ever possibly make. Please do not waste your precious, limited energy bitterly hating other people. Instead, beautifully use that exact same powerful energy to actively build your very own wonderful life. Use that vibrant energy to continuously grow, to eagerly learn new things, and to beautifully create something deeply meaningful in the world. Because the absolute happiest people in the entire world are definitely not the lucky ones who have never, ever faced deep hurt. They are simply the brave ones who actively learned exactly how to gently let go of the heavy pain instead of painfully carrying it forever. Let us thoughtfully move on to lesson 6. Stop worrying about everything. Another deeply destructive habit that constantly steals precious happiness from so many people is this endless chronic worrying. Some people tragically spend almost most of their entire day doing nothing but intensely worrying. They endlessly worry about what will happen tomorrow, and they frantically worry about money. They constantly worry about exactly what other people think of them, and they endlessly worry about massive problems that might happen in the unknown future. Their exhausted mind is always incredibly busy, vividly imagining terrible negative possibilities. But the profound truth is that most of the scary things we constantly worry about never actually happen in reality. Our highly creative mind simply creates these terrifying scenarios, intense fears, and massive problems that completely exist only in our own imagination. And tragically, while we are constantly spending all our precious energy worrying about those completely imaginary problems, we entirely forget to actually live a beautiful life that is happening right now. Constantly worrying absolutely does not magically solve your difficult problems. It only completely drains all of your vital mental energy. Please think deeply about this incredibly simple but profound idea. If a problem can actually be solved, constantly worrying about it will absolutely not help you. Only taking clear action will actively help. On the other hand, if a major problem absolutely cannot be solved right now, constantly worrying about it will absolutely not help you either. In that situation, only deep patience and highly calm thinking will truly help. In both of these completely different situations, constant heavy worrying does absolutely nothing useful for you. It only artificially creates massive amounts of unnecessary stress. A truly peaceful, happy life beautifully comes exactly from actively learning exactly how to successfully manage your own internal thoughts. Instead of helplessly letting your busy mind continuously run toward dark fear and heavy worry absolutely all the time, you actively train it to firmly focus entirely on exactly what you can actually control. The hard truth is that you absolutely cannot control absolutely everything that unexpectedly happens in this life. You definitely cannot control other people's negative opinions of you, and you absolutely cannot control highly unexpected, difficult situations. But you can always perfectly control your very own daily actions. You can beautifully control your own personal effort, and you can absolutely control the exact choices you deliberately make today. When you intentionally focus all your precious energy purely on the specific things you can actually actively influence, your racing mind instantly becomes incredibly calmer. You immediately stop feeling completely powerless. You beautifully start feeling highly capable and strong. And then, something truly beautiful naturally happens. Instead of constantly feeling completely trapped by heavy worry, you actually begin feeling incredibly empowered by taking positive action. You beautifully start actively asking yourself vastly better, more productive questions. Instead of fearfully asking, what if everything goes wrong? You powerfully ask, what can I do today to actively improve my situation? That one incredibly small, quiet shift in your daily thinking completely changes absolutely everything. Simply because true happiness only beautifully grows in a highly calm mind. And a truly calm mind is absolutely not miraculously created by completely eliminating all of your daily problems. Rather, it is beautifully created by actively learning exactly how to bravely face your real problems without ever letting heavy worry completely control your entire life. The exact, beautiful day you finally stop deeply worrying about absolutely everything is the exact day your heavy mind wonderfully becomes free, enough to truly, genuinely enjoy your life. And exactly when your mind beautifully becomes truly free, lasting happiness naturally becomes so much easier to beautifully experience every single day. Let us now deeply reflect on Lesson 7. Beautifully and bravely let go of the heavy past. One of the absolute biggest, most common reasons that so many people constantly struggle to ever feel truly happy is simply because they constantly keep emotionally living far in the distant past. They constantly keep painfully remembering old mistakes. They repeatedly keep tragically replaying highly painful memories in their mind. And they constantly keep sadly thinking about all the things they desperately wish had happened completely differently. Sometimes, it is a very painful mistake they made many long years ago. Sometimes it is a crushing failure they deeply experienced. And sometimes it is a highly painful, toxic situation involving someone they once completely trusted. And tragically, even though those specific difficult moments are now completely and long gone, their exhausted mind stubbornly keeps returning directly to them again and again and again. But there is something incredibly important that you absolutely must clearly understand right now. The past simply cannot ever be changed. Absolutely, no matter exactly how many countless times you obsessively think about it, painfully replay it in your mind, or deeply analyze it, the past will absolutely never, ever become different than it was. But what the unchangeable past actually can beautifully do is actively teach you. Every single painful mistake carries a deeply profound lesson, and every single crushing failure carries incredible deep wisdom. Every highly difficult, painful experience can actually beautifully make you significantly stronger, much wiser, and infinitely more deeply aware. But that beautiful transformation only miraculously happens exactly when you actively treat your difficult past exactly as a wise teacher, absolutely not exactly as a dark, heavy prison. Tragically, many people constantly keep harshly punishing themselves for incredibly difficult things that actually happened many long years ago. They constantly keep bitterly saying painful things to themselves like, I absolutely should have done this completely differently. I deeply wish I had not made that terrible mistake. I intensely regret that foolish decision. But constantly, endlessly repeating those heavy, toxic thoughts absolutely does not ever help you properly grow. It only painfully traps your precious mind in a terrible, endless cycle of dark guilt and deep sadness. Beautifully letting go of the heavy past absolutely does not ever mean falsely pretending that it never actually happened. It simply means beautifully accepting that it definitely happened, actively learning deep wisdom from it, and bravely choosing to gracefully move completely forward. Imagine physically carrying a massive, incredibly heavy backpack completely filled with large stones. Each and every heavy stone perfectly represents a dark regret, a painful mistake, or a highly painful memory. The much longer you painfully carry it, the incredibly heavier it constantly becomes. Eventually, it completely slows your entire beautiful life completely down. But the exact magnificent moment you finally decide to bravely put that incredibly heavy backpack completely down, you instantly feel so much lighter. Your daily steps beautifully become so much easier to take. Your busy mind instantly becomes so much clearer, and your beautiful future suddenly becomes so much more wide open. Gracefully letting go of the heavy past beautifully works in the exact same profound way. Exactly when you bravely release those old heavy regrets and that old dark pain, you instantly create massive, beautiful space inside your mind for brand new, wonderful experiences. You create boundless space for deep personal growth, for bright hope, and for genuine happiness. Human life is absolutely always continuously moving completely forward, and true, lasting happiness completely belongs entirely to those brave people who actively learn from yesterday but beautifully live entirely for today. Your difficult past may definitely be a highly important part of your unique story, but it absolutely does not have to completely control the entire rest of your beautiful life. The exact beautiful moment you finally decide to bravely release it, you beautifully give yourself the ultimate permission to actively build a brand new, incredibly bright future. And that profound, deep freedom is absolutely one of the most incredibly powerful, beautiful gifts you can ever possibly give to yourself. Let us now deeply explore the profound truth of Lesson 8. Learn to bravely and completely control your inner thoughts and daily emotions. Your personal, lasting happiness is incredibly and deeply connected, exactly to the specific way you actively choose to think every single day. Tragically, many people falsely believe that their daily emotions naturally come directly from the difficult situations happening all around them. They deeply believe that other people, unexpected circumstances, or massive problems completely control exactly how they feel inside. But the beautiful truth is actually significantly more powerful than that false belief. Your inner thoughts actually directly create your daily emotions. The exact way you personally choose to interpret a specific situation completely determines exactly how you will actually feel about it. Imagine two completely different people who can actively experience the exact same difficult situation, yet they naturally feel completely different emotions inside. One person may look at a difficult failure and instantly feel completely and utterly hopeless. However, another person may bravely look at that exact same failure and beautifully see it exactly as a profound lesson and a wonderful opportunity to actively improve themselves. The profound difference between them is absolutely not the physical situation itself. The incredible difference is entirely the unique way they actively choose to think about it. Your beautiful mind is extremely and undeniably powerful. Every single day, thousands upon thousands of fleeting thoughts quickly pass directly through it. Some of these daily thoughts are incredibly helpful and highly positive, while some of these thoughts are deeply dark and highly negative. Some toxic thoughts artificially create massive fear, heavy anger, or terrible stress inside your body. But here is the absolute most important part for you to clearly understand. Absolutely not every single thought that enters your head deserves your precious attention. Many exhausted people tragically treat every single passing thought in their busy mind exactly as if it were an undeniable physical fact. But the profound truth is that your daily thoughts are absolutely not always true. Sometimes, your exhausted mind dramatically exaggerates your daily problems. Sometimes, it completely creates highly unnecessary dark fear out of nowhere. Sometimes, your brain stubbornly focuses only on exactly what is terribly wrong in your life instead of beautifully focusing on exactly what is wonderfully possible. Actively learning exactly how to properly control your inner thoughts beautifully means actively learning exactly how to simply observe them from a safe distance. Instead of immediately and blindly believing every single passing thought, you gently pause and honestly ask yourself, is this specific thought actively helping me or is it deeply hurting me? If a specific thought artificially creates highly unnecessary fear or dark negativity, you absolutely do not have to constantly keep feeding it with your precious energy. You can beautifully and gently shift your daily focus completely away from it. You can bravely choose a completely different, much healthier perspective. You can actively redirect your incredibly powerful mind towards something much more positive and constructive. This exact same beautiful idea perfectly applies to your daily emotions as well. Human emotions are completely and entirely natural. Absolutely everyone in the world naturally experiences deep anger, heavy sadness, bitter frustration, and painful disappointment. But exactly when you actively learn to control your inner thoughts and your daily emotions, you beautifully gain something extremely rare and valuable. You wonderfully gain profound inner stability. Human life will absolutely always bring difficult challenges to your doorstep. There will absolutely always be highly unexpected difficult situations. But exactly when your beautiful mind becomes significantly stronger, those difficult external situations absolutely no longer control your precious inner peace. Instead of constantly reacting wildly and impulsively, you beautifully and calmly respond thoughtfully. Instead of constantly feeling completely overwhelmed by your daily problems, you firmly focus all your energy directly on finding real solutions. And exactly when your powerful mind beautifully becomes highly disciplined in this exact way, your entire life naturally becomes significantly calmer and so much more perfectly balanced. True happiness is absolutely not ever about completely eliminating all negative emotions from your daily life. It is entirely about actively learning exactly how to successfully manage your powerful mind so that those dark emotions absolutely do not ever control your entire life. A truly peaceful mind beautifully creates a genuinely peaceful life. And exactly when your inner thoughts beautifully become your closest allies instead of your worst enemies, lasting happiness naturally becomes so incredibly much easier to beautifully experience every single day. Let us beautifully transition into Lesson 9. Actively focus on building highly meaningful, deep relationships. One of the absolute greatest, most profound sources of true happiness in human life is definitely not massive money, shiny success, or material possessions. It is entirely our human relationships. Human beings are absolutely not naturally designed to live this difficult life completely alone. We desperately need genuine, deep connection. We absolutely need wonderful people we can safely talk to, completely trustworthy people we can depend on, joyful people we can freely laugh with, and highly supportive people who will warmly hold us up during our most incredibly difficult moments. When you quietly sit and look far back at the absolute happiest, most beautiful memories in your entire life, They almost usually do not ever involve shiny material things. They almost entirely involve the beautiful people you shared them with. It was a simple, quiet conversation that genuinely made you smile brightly. It was a deeply touching moment when someone generously helped you during a very hard, dark time. It was a beautiful, sunny day happily spent laughing endlessly with your close friends or your loving family. There was a profound, quiet moment where someone else truly and completely understood your fragile soul. These specific, beautiful experiences are exactly what truly give human life its profound, incredible emotional richness. But tragically, in today's incredibly fast, highly busy modern world, so many exhausted people completely forget to properly take good care of their most precious relationships. They tragically become so incredibly focused on their endless work, their distant future goals, and their heavy daily responsibilities that they slowly and quietly lose all genuine connection with the wonderful people standing right around them. Sometimes they completely stop calling their oldest friends. Sometimes they simply stop spending quality time with their loving family. Sometimes they tragically become highly emotionally distant from the exact people who truly matter to them the absolute most, and completely without even realizing it is happening, their entire life suddenly starts feeling incredibly cold and terribly empty. This painful emptiness happens simply because worldly achievements absolutely without human connection almost always feel completely empty and highly incomplete. A truly meaningful relationship is absolutely not just about simply being physically around other people. It is entirely about deep emotional quality. Absolutely not sheer quantity. Having just a very few genuinely deep relationships is infinitely far more valuable than having many fake, highly shallow ones. A truly meaningful relationship is beautifully and solidly built directly on mutual trust, deep respect, profound understanding, and unwavering support. It is exactly the rare kind of relationship where you can beautifully be your absolute true self completely without any dark fear of harsh judgment. It is exactly the beautiful kind of relationship where someone truly listens deeply exactly when you speak and genuinely deeply cares about your fragile feelings. Exactly when you actively invest your precious time and your daily energy directly into carefully building these specific kinds of relationships, your entire life naturally becomes so much emotionally richer and deeply fulfilling. You deeply feel fully supported during your incredibly difficult moments. You genuinely feel warmly appreciated during all your wonderful good moments. And most importantly of all, you beautifully feel deep inside that you are absolutely not aimlessly walking through this difficult life completely alone. At the exact same time, you must remember that truly meaningful relationships absolutely require constant, genuine effort to maintain. They desperately require daily kindness. They deeply require immense patience. They absolutely require the open willingness to truly listen and genuinely understand other people. Sometimes, highly selfish people constantly expect others to always perfectly understand them, but they tragically completely forget to actively try to understand others in return. Incredibly strong relationships only beautifully grow exactly when both people actively show deep care, mutual respect, and pure honesty. If you genuinely and truly want to live a much happier life, please firmly make your close relationships an absolute top priority today. Bravely pick up the phone and directly call the exact people who truly matter the absolute most to you. Actively spend your precious time directly with those wonderful people who constantly bring bright positivity directly into your daily life. Firmly decide to be completely mentally present exactly when you are physically with them. Bravely listen to their stories much more deeply than ever before. Beautifully appreciate them so much more openly and vocally, because at the very quiet end of your human life, the absolute most valuable things you will ever fondly remember will absolutely not be shiny material objects or grand worldly achievements. They will beautifully be the wonderful, loving people who bravely walked right beside you during your incredible journey. And exactly when your beautiful life is completely filled with highly meaningful, deep relationships, lasting happiness naturally becomes incredibly much easier to effortlessly experience every single day. Let us now beautifully transition into Lesson 10. Actively take very good care of your precious mind and body. Many people in this world desperately want true happiness, massive success, and deep peace in their daily lives. But tragically, they completely forget something extremely and fundamentally important. Your physical body and your powerful mind are absolutely the exact essential tools you use every single day to actively experience your entire life. If those two vital tools are absolutely not perfectly healthy, absolutely everything else in your life instantly becomes so much more difficult to manage. When your physical body constantly feels terribly tired, incredibly weak, or deeply unhealthy, your precious daily energy naturally decreases. Your inner motivation completely drops, and your daily patience tragically becomes significantly shorter. Suddenly, even incredibly simple, ordinary tasks start feeling impossibly harder to complete. The exact same profound truth is absolutely true for your precious mind. When your exhausted mind is constantly feeling heavily stressed, completely overwhelmed, or endlessly distracted, it beautifully becomes incredibly difficult to simply think clearly. Incredibly small, insignificant problems suddenly feel massively bigger than they actually really are. Your vital emotional balance becomes incredibly weaker, and true happiness quietly begins to feel terribly distant. Beautifully taking good care of your own mind and your own body is absolutely not ever about achieving flawless perfection. Rather, it is entirely about showing deep, genuine respect for your very own self. Building incredibly simple, healthy habits can actually make a completely huge difference in exactly how you physically and mentally feel every single day. For a clear example, engaging in regular, gentle physical movement is absolutely one of the most incredibly powerful ways to vastly improve both your physical and your mental health. You absolutely do not ever need to force yourself to become a highly trained professional athlete. Even simply walking peacefully outside, gently stretching your tired muscles, or doing very light daily exercise can beautifully improve your physical energy and naturally lift your emotional mood. Gentle physical movement beautifully helps your body actively release heavy stress. It significantly improves your daily mental focus, and it beautifully helps your complex physical body actively function so much better. Getting deep, restful sleep is definitely another extremely and fundamentally important factor. When you beautifully sleep very well, your exhausted brain finally has the proper time to fully recover, to carefully organize new information, and to completely restore your vital energy. But exactly when you constantly and stubbornly ignore your deep need for sleep, your precious mind quickly becomes incredibly tired, and your daily emotions naturally become significantly more volatile and highly unstable. Another incredibly important part of maintaining deep mental and physical health is intentionally giving your busy mind precious moments of pure, uninterrupted quiet. Tragically, many people today live their entire lives completely surrounded by constant, loud noise, glowing phones, endless notifications, chaotic social media, and an absolutely endless stream of overwhelming information completely filled their daily attention every single passing minute. But your beautiful mind absolutely needs frequent quiet moments of pure silence just to successfully reset itself. Even taking just a few highly peaceful minutes of quiet internal reflection, mindful meditation, or very deep, slow breathing can beautifully help calm your racing thoughts and gently restore your lost emotional balance. Actively taking good care of your precious mind and body also deeply includes exactly the specific way you constantly speak to yourself. Your quiet inner dialogue absolutely matters. If you constantly and harshly criticize your own self, or if you stubbornly focus entirely on dark and negative thoughts, your precious mental energy beautifully becomes incredibly weaker. But exactly when you beautifully treat yourself with deep, loving patience and warm, constant encouragement, your powerful mind naturally becomes significantly stronger and so much more highly resilient. Exactly when your physical body is highly strong and your inner mind is beautifully calm, your entire life naturally becomes so much easier to beautifully navigate. Difficult daily challenges instantly become so much easier to bravely face. Complex decisions become beautifully clearer, and lasting happiness naturally becomes incredibly much easier to effortlessly experience. A highly healthy mind and a deeply healthy body perfectly create the absolute strongest foundation for a truly meaningful, beautiful life. When you deeply respect and actively care for yourself in this exact loving way, you beautifully give yourself the ultimate incredible strength to actually enjoy your precious life fully. And that profound inner strength beautifully becomes absolutely one of the absolute greatest sources of genuine long-term happiness. Let us gently explore the profound truth of Lesson 11. Do work that gives you purpose. Having true purpose beautifully means actively having a profound, meaningful reason to happily wake up early in the bright morning. It deeply means genuinely feeling that the daily work you actively do, the honest effort you generously give, and the precious time you actively spend absolutely has true deep meaning. Tragically, many exhausted people spend many long years of their lives mindlessly doing work that absolutely only pays their financial bills, but completely does not ever feed their starving soul. They tragically wake up absolutely every single day feeling incredibly tired, deeply bored, and completely, utterly disconnected from exactly what they are actually doing. When your daily work constantly feels completely meaningless, your entire beautiful life can slowly and quietly start feeling completely empty. But exactly when you actively do something that has genuine, deep purpose, absolutely everything inside you beautifully changes. Having true purpose absolutely does not always mean actively doing something incredibly grand or highly world famous. It definitely does not always mean actively becoming extremely financially successful or miraculously achieving something huge and monumental. True purpose simply and beautifully means that exactly what you actively do every day truly matters deeply to you personally. It can beautifully be slowly building a fulfilling career that you genuinely deeply care about. It can simply be actively learning and beautifully improving yourself absolutely every single day. Or it can profoundly be actively helping other people through your daily work. It can beautifully be actively creating something incredibly useful or deeply meaningful for the entire world, and exactly when your daily work beautifully connects directly with something you deeply value, your personal effort instantly feels completely different. Incredible hard work absolutely no longer feels exactly like a cruel, heavy punishment, and difficult challenges absolutely no longer feel exactly like impossible, heavy obstacles. Instead, they beautifully become a natural, accepted part of your incredible journey. Beautiful people who actively have deep purpose in their daily work very often feel significantly more motivated, highly focused, and profoundly satisfied with their entire lives. They absolutely do not just miserably count the slow hours until the long day finally ends, but they actively feel deeply engaged and highly invested in exactly what they are beautifully building. Now, please understand that this absolutely does not ever mean every single day will magically be completely easy, because every single deeply meaningful path in life naturally includes highly difficult challenges. But exactly when your daily effort is beautifully connected to a deeper purpose, those highly difficult challenges actually feel completely worthwhile. You beautifully feel that you are actively moving completely forward, constantly growing, and actively building something incredibly valuable. If you genuinely and truly want to live a much happier life, please bravely ask yourself a highly important, deep question. What specific kind of work actually makes me truly feel completely alive and deeply meaningful? You absolutely may not miraculously find the absolute perfect answer immediately, but you can bravely begin actively exploring, and you can beautifully begin actively learning brand new, exciting skills. You can actively begin discovering exactly what beautifully excites your natural inner curiosity, because purpose is very often beautifully found simply by bravely taking forward action, constantly experimenting with new things, and actively learning deeply about your own self. And exactly once you bravely begin actively walking in a brand new direction that deeply feels highly meaningful, something incredibly powerful naturally happens. Your daily work beautifully becomes so much more than just a boring job. It beautifully becomes an incredible, lifelong journey. And exactly when your honest daily effort beautifully connects with deep purpose, happiness begins to beautifully grow naturally, simply because you absolutely no longer ever feel exactly like you are simply mindlessly passing your precious time. You beautifully feel exactly like you are actively building a precious life that truly, genuinely matters. Let us beautifully move forward to Lesson 12. Absolutely keep growing and constantly learning. Human beings are naturally incredibly curious creatures, and we are perfectly designed to actively learn, bravely explore, and beautifully develop brand new abilities. But tragically, many people slowly and completely stop growing right after finishing their formal school or starting a new job. they completely stop actively challenging their minds, and they tragically stop learning brand new skills. They completely stop exploring beautiful new ideas, and their daily life quickly becomes incredibly repetitive and highly predictable. And over a long period of time, this deep lack of personal growth can artificially create a heavy, dark feeling of complete stagnation. But exactly, when you actively keep learning and beautifully improving yourself, your entire life naturally becomes incredibly exciting all over again. Genuine growth beautifully brings vibrant energy directly into your daily life. It brings a wonderful sense of curiosity, and it beautifully brings the profound feeling that you are actively moving completely forward instead of just standing perfectly still. Actively learning absolutely does not only mean formally studying inside a boring classroom. It can beautifully mean reading fascinating books, openly listening to brand new perspectives, actively learning a completely new skill, beautifully improving your daily communication, deeply understanding completely different cultures, or carefully developing your own emotional intelligence. Every single brand new skill you actively learn beautifully expands your profound understanding of the entire world, and absolutely every single step of personal growth massively increases your inner confidence. When you actively learn something completely new, you beautifully realize something incredibly powerful. You are genuinely capable of significantly more than you ever previously thought. That beautiful realization actively builds profound self-belief, and strong self-belief is absolutely one of the strongest, most unshakable foundations of true happiness. Beautiful people who actively continue growing very often feel incredibly younger in their spirit. Their active minds beautifully stay highly curious. Their daily conversations stay incredibly interesting, and their entire perspective beautifully becomes so much wider. Instead of constantly feeling completely trapped by a boring daily routine, they beautifully see their entire life exactly as a wonderful opportunity to bravely explore. Continuous growth also beautifully helps you gracefully adapt to sudden change, because the entire world is constantly and rapidly evolving. Brand new technologies constantly appear, incredible new ideas constantly emerge, and brand new, exciting opportunities naturally arise. When you beautifully maintain a strong mindset of lifelong learning, you are absolutely always perfectly ready to beautifully evolve right along with the world instead of tragically feeling left completely behind. But true, lasting growth absolutely does not ever require taking huge, massive steps every single day. Even incredibly small, quiet progress deeply matters. Simply reading a few quiet pages of a good book, actively learning one brand new concept, beautifully improving just one single daily habit, or quietly reflecting on your personal experiences. These incredibly small daily actions slowly and beautifully build a significantly stronger and infinitely wiser version of your very own self. And exactly when you beautifully look far back after many long months or years, you profoundly realize exactly how incredibly far you have actually come. A truly happy life is absolutely not about constantly staying the exact same forever. It is entirely about beautifully becoming so much better, vastly wiser, and incredibly more capable with the steady passage of time. When you beautifully embrace daily learning exactly as a lifelong, incredible journey, your precious life absolutely never ever becomes boring. Every single day beautifully becomes a brand new opportunity to actively discover something completely new, and that wonderful sense of pure discovery brings deep, profound satisfaction and true joy, simply because continuous growth beautifully reminds you that your unique, beautiful story is absolutely still actively unfolding. Let us now deeply reflect on Lesson 13. Actively and deeply enjoy the incredibly small moments of your beautiful life. One of the absolute biggest reasons that so many exhausted people completely miss true happiness is simply because they constantly keep endlessly waiting for huge, big moments to finally arrive. They constantly tell themselves, I will finally be truly happy when I earn significantly more money. I will be genuinely happy when I finally buy a massive house. I will be perfectly happy when all my difficult problems completely disappear, and I will be totally happy when my entire life finally becomes absolutely perfect. But there is an incredibly hidden, dangerous trap in this exact, specific way of thinking. If you absolutely only allow yourself to actually feel genuine happiness during massive, big achievements, then you will tragically spend most of your entire life simply endlessly waiting. And while you are waiting for those big moments, life is quietly passing by, because the truth is simple. Life is mostly made of small moments. A highly peaceful, quiet morning, a very warm, comforting cup of tea or fresh coffee, genuinely good conversation with a friend, a perfectly quiet walk outside, a warm smile from someone you deeply love, a few peaceful minutes of pure silence right after an incredibly busy day, or a very small private success that absolutely only you fully understand. These specific, quiet moments may look incredibly ordinary to the outside world, but they are actually the exact, beautiful pieces that make your entire human life incredibly beautiful. Tragically, many people completely miss them simply because their exhausted mind is absolutely always somewhere else entirely. They are always thinking about the next goal, the next problem, the next worry, and the next achievement. Actively learning to deeply enjoy these incredibly small moments is absolutely one of the most profoundly powerful habits you can ever build for a truly happy life. It beautifully teaches your racing mind to finally slow completely down, and it profoundly teaches your heavy heart to deeply appreciate. It powerfully reminds you that true happiness is absolutely not only found in achieving huge, massive victories. Sometimes, the deepest happiness is beautifully hidden quietly inside incredibly simple, ordinary moments that many rushed people completely ignore. Think carefully about your own childhood for a quiet moment. Young children very often feel genuine happiness incredibly more easily than most adults do. Why is this absolutely true? Simply because they are completely and entirely present. They can easily laugh out loud at incredibly small things, and they can beautifully enjoy a very simple, quiet moment, fully and completely. But tragically, as people naturally grow much older, many completely lose that incredible, beautiful ability. Their adult mind becomes incredibly heavy with endless responsibilities, heavy worries, and constant crushing pressure, and very slowly, they completely stop actively noticing all the wonderful little things that once beautifully brought them immense joy. That is exactly why you absolutely must actively train your own self to consciously notice and deeply appreciate all the incredibly small moments all over again. You do this absolutely not because your life is flawless or perfect, but simply because your human life is incredibly precious. A perfectly quiet evening at home can actually be incredibly meaningful. A simple, warm meal eaten with your loving family can be profoundly meaningful. And just a few short minutes of deep inner peace can be incredibly meaningful. Looking at a beautifully painted sky, breathing in fresh, cool air, or having a gentle, quiet conversation can be deeply meaningful. Exactly when you bravely start paying close attention to these incredibly simple things, something profoundly beautiful completely changes deep inside you. Your ordinary days completely stop feeling terribly empty. You profoundly realize that human life is absolutely not only about endless huge goals and highly dramatic massive events. Your beautiful life is actually happening right now, exactly inside these incredibly simple, quiet moments, and exactly when you finally learn to deeply enjoy them, your heavy heart beautifully becomes so much softer, your busy mind becomes incredibly calmer, and lasting happiness beautifully begins to naturally appear so much more often. This specific lesson is incredibly powerful simply because it completely changes the exact way you actively experience your very ordinary days. Instead of wrongly treating them exactly like completely meaningless, boring time stuck between massive big events, you beautifully begin seeing them exactly as incredibly valuable, beautiful parts of human life itself. And that is so incredibly beautiful, simply because a genuinely happy life is absolutely not built only on massive big achievements. It is profoundly built entirely on the wonderful ability to actively recognize breathtaking beauty, deep peace, and profound gratitude safely, hidden in completely ordinary, daily moments. Let us now arrive beautifully at our final lesson, Lesson 14, Help Others and Spread Kindness. This final, beautiful lesson is absolutely one of the deepest and most incredibly beautiful truths about finding lasting happiness. If you genuinely and truly want to live a highly happy life, you absolutely must not live only for your own self. You must actively learn exactly how to beautifully help others. You must actively learn exactly how to spread genuine kindness absolutely everywhere you go, because many People spend their entire life endlessly chasing happiness simply by selfishly asking, "What exactly can I get? What massive things can I personally achieve? What shiny things can I constantly gain?" But one of the absolute most beautifully surprising truths in all of human life is exactly this. Real, lasting happiness very often beautifully grows exactly when you finally stop endlessly focusing only on your own self and bravely start bringing beautiful light directly into the daily lives of others. When you actively help someone else, even in an incredibly small, quiet way, something profoundly powerful, beautifully happens deep inside you, and your heavy heart instantly feels so much fuller. Your precious life suddenly feels so much more deeply meaningful, and your own personal struggles miraculously feel significantly lighter, simply because pure kindness beautifully connects you to something vastly larger than your own daily problems. Actively helping others absolutely does not always mean successfully doing something huge, massive, or highly dramatic. It can beautifully be incredibly simple and quiet. It can simply mean actively listening to someone who currently feels terribly alone, warmly encouraging a highly stressed friend, generously helping a tired family member, openly smiling at someone walking by, being deeply patient with someone who is obviously struggling, or simply speaking incredibly kindly instead of speaking harshly. These incredibly small, quiet acts may falsely look entirely unimportant on the mere surface, but they actually have great undeniable power because pure kindness completely changes the emotional atmosphere all around you, and very often, it beautifully changes something profound deep inside you too. When you selfishly live only for your own self, your entire personal world can rapidly become very, very small. Your daily thoughts tragically stay completely trapped inside your own heavy worries, your own endless problems, and your own bitter frustrations. But exactly when you bravely begin actively helping other people, your fragile heart beautifully expands, and you beautifully begin feeling deeply connected to all of human life in a significantly deeper, more profound way. You profoundly realize that your gentle words truly matter, your quiet presence deeply matters, and your pure kindness absolutely matters. A truly meaningful life is absolutely a truly happy life, and another incredibly important, beautiful truth is exactly this. People will absolutely never ever forget exactly how you made them feel inside. They may very easily forget your grand worldly achievements. They may entirely forget your impressive job title, and they may completely forget all the immensely expensive things you proudly bought. But they will absolutely always deeply remember your pure kindness, and they will beautifully remember if your gentle words generously gave them bright hope in a dark time. They will profoundly remember if your calm presence beautifully made them feel completely safe, deeply respected, and highly valued. That specific, profound feeling is a truly beautiful kind of deep success, and it beautifully creates a completely different, lasting kind of happiness. It is a profound happiness that is absolutely not based only on personal selfish achievement, but entirely on genuine human connection and pure goodness. Now, please carefully understand that this absolutely does not ever mean you must completely ignore your own personal needs. No, you absolutely should still properly care for yourself, actively grow yourself, and beautifully build your own wonderful life. But exactly when your beautiful life also intentionally includes pure kindness and selfless service, it naturally becomes so incredibly much richer. Your personal happiness beautifully becomes significantly deeper, simply because actively helping others powerfully reminds you that your precious life can beautifully create true value, far beyond your own self. And there is something incredibly and deeply peaceful about truly knowing that your simple existence beautifully made someone else's difficult day a little bit lighter. That is exactly why pure kindness is so incredibly powerful. It beautifully heals others, and it miraculously heals you too. In the quiet, beautiful end, a truly happy life is absolutely not only about constantly feeling good inside, it is profoundly about actively living in a beautiful way that constantly creates pure goodness in the world. And exactly when you generously spread pure kindness, you are absolutely not just making the entire world significantly better, you are also beautifully making your very own heavy heart so much lighter, wonderfully softer, and incredibly happier. Your beautiful life is actively happening right now, absolutely not tomorrow, and absolutely not someday, but exactly today. Therefore, actively choose deep gratitude, bravely choose constant growth, and beautifully choose pure peace in your precious heart. If you actively and patiently practice these incredibly simple, beautiful lessons every single day, your precious life will slowly and miraculously become so much happier, deeply calmer, and profoundly more meaningful. Please always beautifully remember this profound truth. True happiness is absolutely not ever something you magically find lying around. It is completely something you actively create exactly with the specific way you beautifully choose to live and think.